Hey everyone, okay, so today's video is on a concealer that claims to not need setting. You don't need to set it with powder, although you could, but you don't need to. So it's quite high claims from a company that was making a concealer without the need to set, because oftentimes we set our concealer so it doesn't become, terribly bothersome or just generally bleh. So this is a great product. Now when I first got this, and I bought a whole load of them, I bought it and instantly regretted it because it came out so dry, and I expected it to just come out and smooth on, a bit like the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, which is such a great concealer. And it didn't, it came out much more dry. If you're familiar with Laura Mercier's Secret Camouflage, this is like a liquid version of that. So I'm actually going to show you, I'm going to use Warm Beige, and it's by Bobbi Brown, and it's the Instant Full Cover Concealer. Now this claims it can be used all over the face and underneath the eyes. Now the one thing I will say is on the face it's truly phenomenal, and it can cover a huge amount with such a tiny little drop. Underneath the eyes it does work incredibly well, but I think, and when I say the word but, as with most things in makeup, it does tend to work better on younger, tighter, firmer skin. But I did try this on my mother today, and she actually, it did look really, really good. And she's sort of 64 years old, so that is an indication that it can and does work. So let me get a little bit close. So you can see the wand, and it doesn't actually look like it comes out with a lot of product, which is kind of a good thing because you're not going to be wasting, tons and tons of product. And what you kind of do is you just sort of dot it rather than doing this whole swiping motion. And then you kind of pat and press it in, and you can see that it doesn't really move. So where you put it is where it's going to stay. Now, an off the packet use for this would be that this would make an absolutely phenomenal eye primer, because it would cover any discolorations on the lid, which some people might have. I know I do. So I'm just dotting it. I've dotted it a bit harder, a bit more in this area, and then I'm just going to kind of pat it and kind of do it in place. Now, I haven't picked a really, really light concealer because I'm not a massive fan of, white underneath the eyes. As far as the claims go that it doesn't need setting, that is kind of true. It really doesn't need a huge amount of setting, but a tiny, tiny fraction of powder really does ensure longevity in this product. Again, I'm giving this a really good review because it's really quite unique in the coverage of it, the way it comes out, that kind of thick, heavy, but then it just dots everywhere. You're not getting this oodles of product coming out. I'm just going to use a slightly lighter shade. I'm going to use Cool Sand, and I'm just going to kind of do just a couple of dots along the cheekbone area, just as a form of highlight. Because oftentimes when we use highlighter, we always think we've got to use something shimmery, but we don't. Anything light is going to reflect, which is good. So you can see it really does blend, and I'm blending this over my standard mineral makeup that I wear when I film. The one I've got on the moment is Medium Beige by Bare Minerals, and that's the matte version. So you can see it does look pretty good. It doesn't necessarily, is it going to go into lines and wrinkles? Everything goes into lines and wrinkles, so you need to bear that in mind. But it is truly a really good product, and particularly those who have areas on the face that are stubborn, that need covering, but you want a more liquid format of it. This is really, really good. Just before I go, because somebody left a comment the other day, and they're like, when you put your stuff on your face, Wayne, you always leave this little bit here. And that's because I've got these two really big hot points here of like broken capillaries. So I'm just going to cover that in case that person's watching, because I like to please. So there you go. Really, really good product. You get 6 mils of product in here, which is relatively good for a concealer, because some of them, come with 1.5 mils. That's a problem. I'll never quite understand why we pay more for a concealer when we get less product, but that's universal. But this is a great concealer, particularly for those of you with problematic skins, or those of you that really don't want to set your concealer with powder because you're a bit more mature and you don't like the look. This is a pretty good one. Let me know what your thoughts are. I don't know if Stephanie's actually reviewed this. But I would be very interested to see what she thinks, because her reviews are always very, very spot on, and she's, you know, she's very heavenly, so I would like to see that. Anyway, there you go. That's my thoughts. Pretty good. Pretty bloody good indeed. All the information and links are down there in the description bar, and I'll see you all soon. Bye-bye.